There's a quiet kind of power that comes when you stop chasing validation and start rooting your energy in self-awareness. In a world that constantly pulls at your attention, that tells you who you should be, how you should look, what success should mean, you reclaim your life the moment you decide to focus on you. This isn't about isolation or selfishness. It's about alignment. It's about honoring the deepest parts of yourself that have been silenced by noise, comparison, and fear. When you truly focus inward, something remarkable happens. You start showing up differently. And the world, it begins to notice. People will ask what changed, why you're calmer, why you're no longer reacting, proving, explaining. And the truth is, when you stop abandoning yourself for acceptance, you become unshakable. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean you don't care about others. It means you finally care about yourself enough to stop shrinking. It means you're no longer outsourcing your worth to people who can't see you. You want to shock everyone? Start living a life that's grounded in truth, not performance. Start loving yourself so fiercely that their judgments feel weightless. Begin healing your patterns instead of hiding them. That's how you become magnetic. Not by forcing anything, but by being so aligned, people feel your energy before you even speak. Healing doesn't begin when someone else apologizes. It doesn't begin when you get closure, validation, or permission from anyone. Healing begins the moment you decide to pause, look inward, and face what hurts, without judgment, without shame, and without running from the discomfort. We live in a world obsessed with outward distractions, scrolling, comparing, blaming, performing, but none of these things can mend what's fractured inside. True healing happens when you step into that quiet space within yourself and say, let's be honest. What's really going on here? That's where courage is born. Turning inward means choosing to sit with your wounds instead of masking them. It's acknowledging your fears, your patterns, your pain, and tracing them to their root. It's not easy. In fact, it can feel like breaking before rebuilding. But this is the sacred process of transformation. When you stop avoiding your emotions, you stop being ruled by them. When you stop needing everyone else to change so you can feel better, you reclaim your power. Healing isn't about blaming the past. It's about learning how to meet yourself in the present with tenderness. It might look like crying for the first time in years, or saying no when your nervous system is screaming yes just to keep the peace. It might look like choosing solitude over attention, or therapy over pretending. But every small decision to turn inward, every moment of awareness is a brick laid on the foundation of your emotional freedom. You don't heal all at once. You heal in moments of truth, in quiet victories, in choosing not to abandon yourself when it gets hard. And here's the paradox. The more you look within, the more you grow beyond. Because healing doesn't just repair what's broken, it reveals what's real. And from that place, you rise, not bitter, but wiser. Not hardened, but whole. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They are bridges that help the right people stay in. They are not a punishment, a rejection, or an act of cruelty. Boundaries are clarity. And clarity is kindness to others, but most importantly, to yourself. When you begin to focus on your own growth, peace, and healing, you start realizing how much of your time, energy, and identity has been spent managing other people's emotions, needs, and expectations. You start noticing how often you've tolerated discomfort just to avoid conflict. And somewhere in that awakening, a quiet truth emerges. I cannot keep sacrificing my well-being to keep everyone else comfortable. That's where boundaries are born, not from anger, but from self-respect. Not from bitterness, but from a deep understanding that you deserve to feel safe, seen, and honored in your own life. Setting a boundary is saying, I'm not available for disrespect. I choose peace over pleasing. I will not shrink just to be accepted. It's a declaration that your time, energy, and mental health are valuable. It's recognizing that just because someone has access to you doesn't mean they have a right to drain you. Yes, boundaries may disrupt the dynamic. Yes, some people will resist, guilt trip, or try to test them. Why? Because they were benefiting from your silence, your overfunctioning, your lack of limits. But the reaction doesn't make your boundary wrong. It reveals why it's necessary. Healthy boundaries are an invitation to healthier relationships. They filter out those who take and amplify those who honor. They are a mirror reflecting what you believe you're worthy of. You don't set boundaries to control others. You set them to protect your peace, preserve your energy, and live in alignment with your truth. And the more you practice this, the more you realize it's not selfish to protect your space, it's sacred. Boundaries don't push people away. They show you who's willing to meet you with respect. And that in itself is a form of freedom. Growth is often romanticized, but the truth is, it's messy, it's confusing, and most of all, it's lonely. When you begin to evolve, everything around you starts to shift. Conversations that once excited you begin to feel shallow. Spaces you once belonged to feel misaligned. People you once called friends may not understand your silence, your boundaries, or your new values. And in that space between who you were and who you're becoming, there is often a quiet ache that whispers, "Am I doing the right thing?" This loneliness is not a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're changing. You are no longer compatible with versions of life that were built on self-abandonment, smallness, or approval seeking. You're choosing truth over comfort, depth over popularity, substance over noise. But the transition can be painful because in many ways you're grieving the identity that used to keep you safe, even if it wasn't fully authentic. You're letting go of behaviors, relationships, and roles that no longer fit the person you're becoming. That grief is real. That solitude, it's sacred. And yet, beneath the silence, something beautiful is building. You're creating emotional space for new connections to form, ones rooted in mutual growth, respect, and truth. You're learning to enjoy your own company. You're finding peace without performance. You're realizing that solitude isn't emptiness, it's the soil where your self-worth takes root. Eventually, the loneliness transforms. What once felt like isolation begins to feel like alignment. You stop needing people to understand your growth because you understand it. You stop seeking crowds that drain you and start attracting people who recognize your value without you having to explain it. Empowerment arrives not in the loud applause of others, but in the quiet moments where you realize you can hold your own space. You can choose yourself without guilt. You can lose approval and still be whole. So if growth feels lonely right now, hold steady. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're building a life that reflects who you truly are. And yes, it feels lonely before it feels empowering. But once it does, you won't trade it for anything. Ready for me to expand the next one? Your energy speaks louder than words. You don't have to announce your transformation. You don't have to convince anyone that you've changed, that you're healing, growing, or leveling up. When you focus on yourself and start doing the inner work, your energy will say everything your words never could. People feel it. Before they hear you, they sense you. Before they understand you, they notice the shift. There's a presence that comes from self-alignment, a kind of quiet strength that doesn't need performance. You no longer feel the urge to over-explain, over-apologize, or seek approval, because the way you carry yourself already speaks volumes. You walk into a room differently when you're grounded in truth, not ego. Your energy becomes calm, but not passive, strong, but not aggressive, clear, but not rigid. And this energy, it's magnetic because people are drawn to what feels genuine. They're drawn to the calm confidence of someone who knows who they are and doesn't need external noise to validate it. But here's the thing, when your energy changes, it will disturb some people, especially those who are comfortable with your insecurity. Your silence will feel louder than your words once did. Your lack of engagement in drama will be read as arrogance by those who only understood you through chaos. Your boundaries may be labeled as attitude. Your growth as a threat. Let it be. That's not your problem to solve. You're not here to manage anyone's perception. You're here to align your life with peace, purpose, and presence. The right people will feel that energy and rise to meet it. The wrong ones will fall away. Either way, your only job is to stay true. You'll know your energy has shifted when you no longer feel drained after conversations. You're less reactive and more intentional. You're no longer trying to prove anything, you're just being. Your peace matters more than their misunderstanding. Words are easy to manipulate, but energy doesn't lie. It carries the frequency of your self-worth, the truth of your boundaries, and the clarity of your values. So focus on your own alignment, tend to your nervous system, heal your inner dialogue, speak less if needed, but feel more, live from integrity. Eventually, people won't ask what you're doing differently, they'll just feel it. That's the power of energy. That's the impact of self-focus. That's how you shock the world without ever raising your voice. We often think that growth should feel good, that healing should bring instant peace, that choosing ourselves should feel like relief from the beginning. But the truth is, real change often feels deeply uncomfortable at first, and that's not a sign you're doing it wrong. It's proof that you're moving into unfamiliar, necessary territory. Discomfort is the body's response to transformation. It's your nervous system adjusting to new standards. It's your inner self recalibrating after years, sometimes decades, of surviving through patterns that were never meant to sustain you. Discomfort shows up when you set a boundary for the first time and feel guilty. Say no and fear the backlash. Speak your truth and immediately want to apologize. Choose rest instead of overworking and feel lazy. Walk away from chaos and miss the noise, not the person. That's not regression, that's reprogramming. You're not broken, you're becoming. You're shedding layers of people-pleasing, perfectionism, and self-doubt. And that shedding, it's tender, it's raw, it stirs up everything that's been hidden beneath the surface. But that discomfort means you're no longer numb, you're waking up. You're confronting the parts of yourself that used to hide behind busyness, validation, and distraction. Let's be honest, staying the same is easier. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar peace, but the cost of staying unchanged is far greater than the discomfort of growth, because comfort zones are not always peaceful. They're just predictable. And predictability can become a prison when it keeps you small, silent, and stuck. You want to change your life, you have to be willing to sit with the discomfort of new boundaries, new behaviors, and new beliefs. You have to walk through the emotional resistance, not avoid it. You have to recognize that discomfort is not your enemy. It's your invitation. It's a signal that you're disrupting the old cycle, that your body, mind, and spirit are stretching into alignment. And the more you lean into it, not rush it, not numb it, not run from it, the more resilient you become. Eventually, what once felt like discomfort becomes your new normal. Saying no won't feel rude, it'll feel responsible. Being alone won't feel lonely, it'll feel free. Speaking your truth won't feel scary, it'll feel necessary. So don't fear the discomfort, honor it, breathe through it. Let it be a sign that you're stepping into a version of yourself that no longer fits inside the limits of who you used to be. In a culture that glorifies perfection, performance, and popularity, it's easy to believe that success lies in the appearance of having it all together. The curated life, the external wins, the applause. But here's the truth most people don't tell you. None of it matters if you're not whole on the inside. Wholeness isn't about being flawless. It's about being honest. It's about being integrated. It's about no longer needing to hide, shrink, or fragment yourself just to be loved. You become truly powerful the moment you decide you are worthy, not because of what you produce or who approves of you, but because you are you, whole, messy, brilliant, healing, in process, and enough. Wholeness is the quiet confidence of knowing that your worth isn't up for debate. It's feeling your emotions without shame. It's acknowledging your past without letting it control your future. It's being able to say, this is me, still learning, still growing, still becoming, and I won't abandon myself anymore. You want to shock people. Don't chase trends, chase truth. Don't perform strength, embody softness. Don't fight to be seen, stand in your light regardless. The wholeness means you stop searching for someone else to complete you. You stop using your achievements to validate your identity. You stop molding yourself to fit the narratives others write for you. And this kind of wholeness, it's rare. That's why it's magnetic. Because most people are performing, fitting in, proving, exhausting themselves to meet some invisible standard. But when you walk in authenticity, you walk in freedom. That freedom will unsettle those who rely on masks, but it will inspire those who are seeking the courage to take theirs off too. This is the real flex, being grounded enough in your own truth that nothing external can shake your internal peace, having the emotional intelligence to sit with discomfort, the self-awareness to own your shadows, the resilience to keep showing up with grace, the softness to love deeply without losing yourself. No filter, no performance, no pretending, just presence. Because when you are whole, you no longer chase things that were never meant for you.